Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Daily English Buddy. I am Justine, and today we are tackling a topic that is universally stressful, but absolutely necessary for anyone living or traveling abroad.
You can say that again. Hey everybody, it is Alex. Today we are talking about going to the doctor in English. Navigating a clinic when you are sick is terrifying because your brain is completely exhausted.
Exactly. When you are feeling terrible, the last thing you want to do is try to remember complex medical vocabulary or worry about your grammar. You just want a medical professional to fix the problem immediately.
But unfortunately, using the wrong word at the doctor's office can lead to some incredibly confusing and embarrassing situations. Trust me, I know this from personal experience. I have made every mistake you can possibly imagine.
Which is exactly why we are doing this episode. We want to teach you the right words to use so you can communicate clearly, get the right treatment, and avoid the linguistic traps that Alex fell into.
Right. So let us start at the very beginning. Before you even see the doctor, you have to get in the building. You have to call the clinic or walk up to the reception desk.
Yes, the very first step is making an appointment. A common mistake B1 learners make is using direct translation and saying, "I want a doctor right now," which sounds very aggressive to the reception staff.
Exactly. In English, we use softer language, especially in high-stress environments. You should say, "I would like to make an appointment to see a doctor," or "I need to schedule a checkup."
A checkup is a great word. It means a general medical examination to make sure you are healthy. But if you are sick, you might say, "I am not feeling well, and I need to see someone today."
And when you arrive, the receptionist will usually ask you, "Do you have an appointment?" or "What seems to be the problem today?" This is where you need to describe your symptoms clearly.
A symptom is a physical feeling or feature that indicates you have a disease or illness, like a cough, a fever, or a headache. You do not say, "I have sick signs." You say, "My symptoms are."
Describing symptoms is so hard. In my native language, we just point and say, "It hurts." But in English, doctors always ask you to describe the exact type of pain. Is it sharp? Is it dull?
That is a crucial distinction. A sharp pain is sudden and intense, like a knife. A dull pain, or a dull ache, is a continuous, low-level pain that just will not go away, like a bad lower back.
Another great word is throbbing. If your head hurts with the rhythm of your heartbeat, boom, 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 that is a throbbing headache. It is such a descriptive word that doctors instantly understand.
So, Alex, you mentioned earlier that you have made some embarrassing mistakes at the doctor. I think it is time for you to share your disaster story with our listeners to help lower their anxiety.
Oh no, I knew this was coming. Okay, fine. A few years ago, I went to a seafood restaurant and ate some oysters that were definitely not fresh. I felt absolutely terrible the next morning.
Oh, that is the worst. Seafood can be so dangerous. So, you had severe stomach pains and you went to the local health clinic to get some help?
Yes, I was in pure agony. I walked into the clinic, skipped the line, went straight to the nurse, and yelled, "Please help me, I am highly intoxicated."
Wait, you yelled what? You told a medical professional in a busy waiting room that you were highly intoxicated?
I did. Because in my native language, and in many Romance languages, Intoxicated means you have poisoning from bad food. I thought I was saying I had food poisoning.
Oh my goodness, Alex! In English, intoxicated is a formal medical word for being completely drunk. You told the nurse you were heavily drunk on alcohol at 10 in the morning?
Ugh, I know. The entire waiting room turned around to look at me. The nurse looked so confused and asked, "Sir, how much alcohol have you consumed today? We cannot treat you if you are aggressive."
She thought you were a morning drinker demanding medical attention. How did you fix it? How did you explain the oysters?
I was so confused. I said, "Alcohol? Zero alcohol. I just ate 12 giant shrimp and some bad oysters. Why are you asking about beer?" The nurse finally realized what happened and started laughing.
Okay, let us pause and explicitly teach our listeners so they avoid this trap. The phrase you needed was food poisoning. If bad food makes you sick, it is food poisoning. Do not say intoxicated.
Exactly. It is a massive false friend. Intoxicated means drunk. Food poisoning means you ate terrible seafood and your stomach feels like a washing machine. Please write that down, everyone.
So the nurse figures out you have food poisoning. She probably took your vital signs next. Listeners, vital signs are your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your temperature. It is standard procedure.
Yes, she took my blood pressure and then I waited for the doctor. The doctor came in, examined my stomach, and told me I needed to drink lots of fluids and take some specific medicine.
And this is where another huge linguistic trap happens for B1 and B2 learners. When a doctor gives you official paper for medicine, what do we call that in English, Alex?
We call it a prescription. But, of course, I did not use that word. Because I am a walking disaster when I am sick.
Wait, you made another mistake during the exact same visit? Please tell me what you asked the doctor for.
Well, the doctor said he would recommend some strong medicine. And I said, "Thank you, doctor. Can you please write me a very good recipe so I can go to the pharmacy?"
A recipe? You asked the doctor for a cooking recipe?
It is another false friend. In my language, recept is the paper for medicine. I just added an E at the end to make it sound English. It was completely logical in my brain.
Oh my God! You went from telling them you were drunk to asking the doctor to teach you how to bake a cake. What did the doctor say?
He literally stopped writing, looked at me over his glasses, and said, "Sir, I am a doctor, not a chef. I cannot give you a recipe for chicken soup, but I can give you a prescription."
That is incredible. Okay, pedagogical breakdown for our listeners. A recipe is a list of ingredients and instructions for cooking food. You use a recipe in the kitchen to bake cookies.
And a prescription is the official medical document written by a doctor that allows you to buy controlled medicine at a pharmacy. They sound somewhat similar to European languages, but the meanings are totally different.
Exactly. You take your prescription to the pharmacy or the chemist, depending on if you are in America or the UK, and the pharmacist will give you your medication.
Which brings us to another important set of words. When the pharmacist gives you the medicine, they will give you instructions on the dosage. That means how much medicine you should take and when.
Yes. For example, the dosage might be take 2 pills twice a day with food. It is incredibly important that you understand the word dosage so you do not take too much.
And let us talk about the forms of medicine. You have pills, which are solid, round pieces of medicine you swallow. But what is the difference between a pill and a tablet, Justine?
A tablet is essentially a pill that has been compressed into a flat, disc shape. Sometimes they can be broken in half. Then you have capsules, which are smooth plastic-like shells with powder inside.
Right. If you cannot swallow large pills, you can ask the doctor, "Do you have this in a liquid form, or maybe a smaller tablet?" It is perfectly fine to advocate for your own comfort.
Absolutely. Speaking of advocating for yourself, sometimes you need a medical document for your employer if you miss work. What is that called in English?
We call that a doctor's note or a medical certificate. You can simply ask the receptionist, "Could you please provide a doctor's note for my employer to prove I was here today?"
That is a great, polite phrase. Now, what if the situation is more serious than a bad stomachache? What if you have to stay overnight at the hospital?
If you stay overnight, you are admitted to a ward. A ward is a specific room or area in a hospital for patients with similar needs, like the maternity ward or the psychiatric ward.
Just be careful not to confuse ward with wardrobe, which is a piece of furniture for your clothes. You do not want to tell someone your grandmother is recovering in the wardrobe.
That would be a very tight space for poor grandma. But seriously, vocabulary precision in a hospital is vital. Even words like checkup versus check out can cause confusion.
Oh, that is a good one. A checkup is your medical exam. Check out is when you leave a hotel or pay for your groceries at the supermarket. Do not ask the doctor for a late checkout.
Unless you are really enjoying the hospital bed and the terrible hospital food. But generally, people want to be discharged as quickly as possible. That is the official word for being allowed to leave.
Yes, the doctor discharged me this morning. That means your treatment in the hospital is finished and you can go home to recover. It is a very useful Tier 2 vocabulary word.
Let us do a rapid-fire review of all the critical vocabulary we covered today so our listeners can lock it into their memories. Justine, start us off.
Number 1, appointment. You call the clinic and say, "I would like to make an appointment," not, "I want a doctor now."
Number 2, symptoms. Be ready to describe your pain. Is it a sharp pain, a dull ache, or a throbbing headache?
Number 3, food poisoning. If you eat bad food and get sick, it is food poisoning. Do not say you are intoxicated because that means you are drunk.
Yes, please remember my humiliation and never make that mistake. Number 4, prescription. The paper the doctor gives you for medicine is a prescription. Absolutely not a recipe for baking.
Number 5, dosage. This tells you how many pills or tablets you need to take and how frequently you should take them.
And finally, number 6, doctor's note. The piece of paper you give to your boss to prove you were actually sick and not just sleeping at home.
Excellent summary, Alex. Navigating medical English is tough, but it is all about preparing this foundational vocabulary before you are sick, so your brain does not panic in the moment.
Exactly. The effective filter is so high when we are in pain. By learning these phrases today in a relaxed, funny environment, you are lowering your anxiety for when you actually need to use them.
And remember, even native speakers get nervous at the doctor. So if you make a mistake or if you accidentally ask for a cooking recipe, just laugh at yourself and correct it. The doctors have seen it all.
They certainly have seen it all with me. I am probably famous in that clinic for being the drunk guy who wanted to bake a cake with the chef.
We will make a statue of you in the waiting room. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. We hope you found it both educational and highly entertaining.
If you have ever made a hilarious mistake at the doctor's office, please leave a comment on our website or social media. We love hearing that I am not the only one making these disasters.
Stay healthy out there, take your vitamins, and practice your medical vocabulary. We will be right back here next week with another episode to help you master English.
See you guys next time. Drink plenty of water and no bad oysters.
Bye, everyone.
Seriously, no oysters.